Yeah, so I'm wondering how people are dealing with opening bank accounts. I have tried few banks, and they always trying to get like the social. Um, I ran into something where they ask for your ID because they really don't supposed to ask you for that. But then when they run your driver's license, because when you have an account already in there, the information pops up with everything, and then they link it to it. How do you deal with that situation?
Well, one of the things is with your approach when you go into a bank. I mean, if you were really being hired to do this, would you tell them that this is for you or for somebody else that is a customer of yours? And you have no idea whether or not they have an ID on file or not. All you know is that you're opening up their trust account.
Right. And I came in as just only opening for the trust, and I explained that it's not for myself. And they still insisted that, well, as a trustee, they must have the information on file, and they asked for the driver's license. Even though I said it cannot be linked to my personal profile, they still wanted to do that.
Yeah, for them, that's just a manipulation. I would probably go try and talk to their manager or somebody that's above them or their director and tell them that their underlings, aren't following instructions, and you as a customer need to open up a trust for somebody else. As a trustee, you can't have your name on somebody else's documentations without their approval. And there's an approval process of that in order to have that. So, and you don't have that from the customer. So you might need to push it up the ladder a little bit.
So, as the trustee, what else can you provide besides your ID? Because they still ask for it.
Well, you can have a personal ID. It doesn't have to be a state issue.
You do have a form called 2848, which is a power of attorney. That is your proof. That's all you need. That is your proof who you are and why you're there. Use that.
Awesome. That makes sense.
Or go to a different bank.
And go to a different bank.
Because we have to remember, you are authorized through the IRS over your taxpayer. Use your Form 56 and your 2848. You shouldn't have to use ID. You can
Something I with the
passport
Form
card if
56.
you want to identify yourself, but you're not there for yourself. You're there for a person. That's what you're there for. You are the representative over the person that you're there for. If that person does not understand what you're there for, speak to a supervisor. And if the supervisor does not understand what you're there for, go over his head. The higher you go, the more they know.
Yeah, I was speaking to a banker who's supposed to be, um, approved to be opening bank accounts for the private.
So they should know the forms that you'll be giving them copies of your 2848. They should know who you are when you give that form to them, since they know the steps in the private. That would be my suggestion. And I also will bring a copy of my Form 56 also, just in case.
I wonder if in the 56 we should put only the EIN for the trust, because in the 56 it still has your social on it.
That's why I said bring it just in case. I wouldn't give it to them. I would give them my 2848. You shouldn't have to give them the 56. But I would bring that just in case. Keep it in the file. You might not even have to bring it out. But your 2848 should answer. It should answer what you're trying to identify on the difference between yourself and who you're there for.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of the conversations that they had with me was like, yeah, a lot of people bring the 56, but when I was looking at it, it still has my social because it asks when you're sending it. So I think that the 2848 is, yeah, it's a better option.
I would say even if you were to just to pull it out, remember it's a copy. Black it out. It's the rest of the information you really want them to see if you want them to take a peek at the 56. And remember, we're not giving them the original. We're giving them a copy. So whatever you want them to see or not see, black it out. They do it.
Yeah, you gave me really good ideas. Thank you.
It is perfectly acceptable to redact.
Scenario.
And even if you're sending documentation like A's and B's back to like a car dealership company saying, hey, this has been already acquisitioned by my trust and now these credits are issued back to me, you can redact all the information from the trust that it was put in back to the companies because they don't need to know where it went.
And I always would suggest when you're representing your 2848, the IRS also suggests you to hit your CAF numbers on that 2848. It also identifies you.
You said take him off?
No, he said add your CAF number to your 2848 as a form of identification number.
Yes. Yes. Because
Thank you.
we all know when we start signing that 2848, we put none because we don't have a CAF number. Even if the IRS haven't issued you your CAF number, there is a way for you to generate your own CAF number and use it without an R. From what I understand from the IRS agent, the R is only used to put into their system. So rather if you get a CAF number that's generated from a website or the IRS will give you one also, if I'm not mistaken, without an R, they have to put an R to it when you give them those numbers. So with an R, without an R, it's always added. So if they give one to you in the mail, like some of us probably have one from the mail, some of us didn't. There's ways to get one without them receiving one from them.
Thank you. That's awesome. It really is opening up some other venues just in my head.
All right, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hey, I've got a question. Filling out that 709 form, how do you use the form 4852 to translate on that 709 form to get a refund back?
I'm not familiar with the 709 form. Anybody can take that one.
Not right off the top of my head.
I believe
Okay.
it's like a gift kind.
Because I did that 709 form, and like I said, it ended up being zero because with the unified credits and the unused credits and the something else, but I was able to get zero back, but I was trying to get a refund back because that was the only part I was missing. It was getting that form, getting all the income back. So when I did the 709, it just came out zero unless I was doing the form wrong.
So when you filled out the 709 form itself and your own calculations come back as zero, or when you send it in, their calculations came back as
Oh,
zero?
I have not sent it in. I just used blank. I just used a form in before I actually start sending stuff in with that 709. I just want to make sure I did everything right. And so I end up getting zero as versus getting a full refund for my income for the year of 24.
Now, did you put any of that on a Schedule C or A or a D in there anywhere?
Yeah, I put the income on the form. It's just like I said, when I end up doing that form from the 4852, translating it on the 709, it was showing zero.
Yeah,
As versus getting it back.
Without looking at your whole process and being like right there next to you when you're filling out that form, I really couldn't tell you from what I'm getting from you.
Okay. But now when I do a 1040, yeah, I can get the income back. That's no problem. But I know in the future, I know eventually I'm going to have to start using that 709 because that's another reason I think it's holding up a lot of people's taxes is because that 4852 is supposed to, or when you're claiming tax code 5, it's got to go on a 709 form. And
Well, I know it's really for you to be in there and looking around and seeing what you can see and making sure you can go in and read up on all that and see how all these work in that website. But I don't see how we'll be able to help you out here today.
Oh, that's no problem. I was just hoping someone knew.
Your solution has to be a one-on-one consultation. Like we would have to see your paperwork and exactly what you've done and how your calculations add up. Your answer can't be answered like right away because we can't see what you can see. My suggestion without seeing what you can see is, do you have Chat GPT? Because you can also upload all your paperwork onto Chat GPT and it will really help you out. As time go on, you could train it like a little kid, and it will learn exactly what you need. I would suggest everyone to do that. That would be a little private assistant. If you can get certain answers, it'll point the finger at least towards the right direction.
Okay, appreciate that. Thanks for the information.
Yeah, every single one of us do that. We're all training our AI bots to be proficient at what we're wanting from it and what we want it to do for us on our behalf, so that we can get to the right type of language that we need to be able to succeed with the getting information out of them. One of the things that might help us out today is that when you're done with your question and you got your questions answered, to say that you yield, so that we then can move on to the next person asking questions.
Okay, I yield.
Does anybody got questions?
I'd like to share an experience that I had with a third party collector. It was a credit card that I had owed, and I sent in a negotiable instrument. And moving forward, I felt like they didn't answer me back. Then it was already taken care of. But then they had sold it to a third party collector, which came after me and tried to sue me. So I went to civil court, small claims court, and I had made an invoice and validation proof of claim and told them that if they didn't show me a contract with a wet signature, that I didn't owe them anything. So we went to court twice, and with my invoice, it had everything from them being on my 3 credit reports, not allowing me to better myself. They didn't give me a validation proof of claim in a set time. I had all the green cards that I needed to state that they did receive all of these notices and the invoice, and the judge had to step out because my invoice was close to $500,000 with all the adding up. And she said that I was in the wrong court, that I would have to take it to the circuit court in my state. So the lawyer that was representing them said that they would get bankrupt if they had gave me that. So what I did was I never heard anything from them for like maybe 60 days. And I go ahead and went and filed it in circuit court for $150. Now, I'm just saying that I don't know where this is going to go from there, but I think that if the judge states that it's non-payable or something, that I can probably write that off on one of my taxes. Does anybody know about that part of it? Because I'm at the last straw. I haven't gone to court yet in the higher courts because of the amounts, but I would like to know, is this going to be a plus or what for me?
Sorry, it is possible. Yeah, go ahead.
I have experience in this. If they dismissed your negotiable instrument, you file on the tax report that this is a loss for you, and then you get it back on your taxes. But you have to counter sue them. Yeah, I don't know how you what you have done, but I have success with getting my.
It was a counterclaim that I put with an invoice, and they didn't answer it. And then how they charge us 5% interest for late fee, I charge them, according to the state, 5% interest late fee on the amount. And that's how it came to be close to $500,000. But because of the size of it, civil court only handles 7,500. Mine was close to $500,000. So she couldn't say anything other about it. She can only register the paper that I put inside the case. So she said I had to take it to a higher court. So I did take it to the higher court, but I only filed it. But I'm just slightly anxious because I haven't never done anything like that. But I do have my paperwork, and I did hear somewhere if the judge says, like, it's unpayable or something, that you can take that and write it off as I think a bad debt, if I'm not mistaken, a 453 claim.
Okay, so going up to the higher court, yes, you had to because of the amounts, because the lower courts only deal with a certain dollar amount. The circuit courts, I'm not sure what their cap is, but I'm assuming that you're going to be over their cap. What they're first thing going to do is they're going to try and object to the venue. And however it is they try to object to the venue, that is entirely up to the attorney. But they're going to try and get it to where the court doesn't even hear the case. So the first thing you're probably going to get back is their reply objecting to going into this court. And then you will send a reply back for that. And as soon as you can get yourself into court, it's more than likely you're going to end up with a default judgment, because I doubt they're going to show. But I know that that court is only going to have a cap out. And they're only going to be able to give you whatever their cap out is if they decide to rule on it there, or send you off to a next court that has a higher cap.
Okay, so the cap out, are you saying a lesser amount?
I'm saying that it's several $1 million or $1 million. That is, they all have their own cap on how much the court can award you in that venue.
Oh, okay, I got you. All right, thank you.
Without knowing what exactly those caps are, I can't really tell you. Yeah, go ahead, Indigenous.
Pretty much the amount is too much for small claims court. They have to send you somewhere where they can handle that amount of currency that you're asking for. Which is a good thing, because that means they're paying attention to what you're doing. They have to send you somewhere where they can handle it.
Right, which is they're admitting to the fact that your claim is legitimate.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
You feel like that answers your question? Are you good with that?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, we're on to our
I have a
next person.
question. Hello.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Hi. I just want to get a clarification as far as opening up trust at these banks. So is it important that we do show our the 4828 form? Do we need that to be a part of it along with the certificate of trust?
It's
Is that
usually
something we should?
necessary to show your 2848 to the banksters. This was her situation where they were asking additional questions. I've had them just open up the account without having to show ID for me personally. So it's just from bank to bank.
Okay, so it's not really necessary that we do that. They show the 2848.
Right. That was just in
Okay.
case, bring it with you. And if they have that question, you'll have your paperwork there and ready.
Okay, and then I have another question about that too, because I did go into the bank and they was telling me that this is a business trust and that they couldn't set it up. I was trying to do the sole proprietor, and they did give me a little pushback and saying that they didn't. It was a business trust, and that was something that they did not open up under a trust. But I did tell them that it was private, and then I showed them the EIN paper that I got from the IRS, and it did have LLC under there, but I told them that it was private. And then they came back and told me that they don't open up that type of trust. They only open up two trusts, either the revocable or irrevocable. Does have anybody else had that problem trying to open up that type of trust?
So you're trying to open up a trust account with your sole prop EIN?
That's what I understand that we were supposed to do. Is that correct? I think
No,
Steve.
no,
No,
You-
you don't.
no. You can go and you can open up a straight up business account with your sole prop EIN. But if you
Okay,
want to
business
actually
account,
have,
okay.
yeah, your trust will have to have its own EIN number.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's where I got confused at. Okay.
Yeah, your sole
So I'm
prop
just
is
opening up a business account with the sole prop.
right. And
Okay, okay. All right,
some
thank you.
states you have to put
Mhm.
your business on the books, but some states you
Okay.
don't. My state,
Okay.
a sole prop is not considered a legitimate form of business that you need to register with the state, so you don't have to do that. Each state is different, so do some research on what you got going on in your state.
Okay. Great. Thank you. I yield.
Hi there.
I apologize. I also would suggest, um, if you're trying to do a revocable trust or a trust, or are you trying to get a non-interest bearing account, don't use your sole prop for that. Use your EIN. You can
Okay.
also go to Child Swab. It's free for 6 months. You ain't got to pay no money down. So you can at least have a non-interest bearing account. They'll tell you exactly what documents you need to send them, and just get your papers together, and you'll have a non-interest bearing account, trust account with Charles Schwab. At least you'll have that, and you can build
Okay.
on your currency after that. This is why we
Okay.
build the way we do. No question is a foolish question, because after you leave here, you have at least a better idea. And if you have an LLC, do not attach that to your main EIN. Get another EIN separate from what you're putting your property into, and your all of your property is in your main EIN. You can have multiple EINs. Never put your main EIN, your LLC with your main EIN, because your LLC can get sued, and if it's attached
Oh,
to your credits, it also can get sued. So build a separate from that and sell that LLC to your other EIN entity.
okay.
It's
Okay.
like keeping your stepchildren separated when it's dealing with business. Your older child over here that they gave you since birth, he takes care of all of the property, the cars, the house, the land. He's your main entity. That's the one they gave you since birth. You you're doing all that with that main EIN. Your second stepchild you have on the side, he's taking care of your LLC. That's how you got to look at it. They both
Okay.
complete persons, but you have to look at them that way. It's all paperwork, contract, but make sure you have your own method to keep it more understanding to yourself. You get it? I hope you do.
Okay. Because I do have I have a foreign EIN, Brancher's Trust, set up with Fidelity, but I think it's with interest. They told me that they didn't deal with non-interest bearing accounts.
See? This is why we speak. Look up Charles Schwab
Okay.
accounts and
All
just
right. Thank
read and
you.
do your research on that bank. And you can come to me or anybody here, and you can ask questions, and they'll help you out, please. Because you can get
Okay.
that. They will accept you. They'll just tell you what documents you need. And if you need help with the documents, you're in the right place.
Okay.
I know,
And I can.
I know there was a sister that was trying to chime in, but I just want to add something to the dialogue. You said that since you were saying that you was trying to, this is not, I speak to myself first when I speak to everybody. You said you was trying to do a private trust. Well, a private trust doesn't file for EIN. A private trust is expressed and is filed through a UCC1. When you get an EIN, that's public. So, the understanding that must kind of be understood at all times is that we're operating in the public and the private. So when you get an EIN, it's a public entity.
Hmm.
When you do an express trust and you file it UCC non I forget what the rest of it is non off the top of my head I have a brain fart, but you filing it privately and it's expressed. Now nobody has to see that trust. It's expressed, but it's private.
Hmm.
You create the number or the quote unquote EIN registry number for that whatever you decide, but it's in the private. No one has to see that. So when you go to the bank and you said I'm trying to open up a private trust bank account and you give them an EIN number, they automatically know that you didn't follow and understand the assignment. That you can't have a private with a public identity. So that's all I want
Okay.
to say. But we're
Yeah.
all
Well, it's actually it was the sole prop that I thought that we were I understood
right,
to, I thought we were supposed to try to set that up as
right.
a trust. But I was able to do a revocable trust and I'm waiting back for that, but I couldn't do the sole prop.
Right. Because
Hmm.
the sole prop is public. The
Hmm.
EIN that comes with it is a public entity. So on the public side, it's not private,
Right.
and it is a business,
Okay.
right? So
Right.
that's that's your queen. That's your queen on the chessboard. That's your
Okay.
queen on
So
the chessboard.
what I need to do for that is just open up a
Can I
business
intervene?
account
Can
with
I
that.
intervene, please? Because he's so wrong. I cannot let him continue to speak to this young woman that's trying to find out
Yo, hold on,
why
hold, well, hold on,
the soap pop is not
hold on, wait,
private,
but
my
hold on,
man. It's
hold on,
not
wait,
private.
hold on,
The soap
wait.
pop is not private. And when a bank
I
asks you
never
for
said
your
but you're
trust,
not.
you give
Well,
them your
hold on.
certificate of trust.
Hold
No
on.
one sees your
You're
trust.
hold on, hold
Stop
on.
screaming, no, sir. I also want to let you know why you're wrong. Don't yell. Tell me that I'm wrong for telling you you're wrong when I'm finished. Your soul prop is not public. All right? It's just attached to your a blue card person. So tell me how your soul prop is public, and I'll yield. This is why you don't listen to people, please. Listen to the teachers that been through the redemption group,
This where no, my question to you
down
was
to my
where do you
own
get the
group. You had to go
the
read
question
first.
was where do
You had to go Google it
no
first. Stop listening to him, and I'm gonna stop talking.
and so will I because I why are you attacking me instead of saying hey brother wait a minute let me say something and let me interject. Don't attack me. I don't know you. You don't know me. If you're trying to bring a better understanding because maybe I said something wrong, then you address me accordingly.
Understands? I'm
Go
talking
ahead
to
and get.
you. I'm talking to you and everybody on this
No,
platform that know me.
but wait a
I
minute.
do not
But
like
wait a
people
minute.
that come up here
Do
and
not.
teach
So
people, and you're wrong. You need to be
so
quiet right now because you just told her
you need
false
who are
information.
let me ask you a question.
You
Who are
told
you
her
to
false
tell anybody?
information.
Who
So
are you to tell?
everything you
Who
say
are
out
you
your
to
mouth
tell
right
anybody
now
to be
is not
quiet?
relevant.
Who
You
are
can't
you? Who
challenge
are
me, dude.
you?
I
Who
know
are
exactly
you?
what I'm talking
Who
about. I
are?
got receipts to
But who
prove to
are you?
her that her
I
sole
don't give a damn
property is
It's
about.
not
private,
Listen,
and it's
necessary.
not public. Stop
Not
listening to him.
necessary, you guys.
Both of
Come on,
y'all,
not necessary.
both of
Community,
y'all need to stop. Thank you.
please.
Stop that.
Love, my
Stop it.
God.
Stop it. This is not the platform for y'all to be, swinging penises on. Okay. Not. This is not the time and place for that. Both of you, stop that. One
all
of
I
you got it.
said was
It doesn't matter.
if you wanted to address me, that I was saying something incorrect. I never said I was 100% right. I'm saying, don't attack me. Just intervene and say, hey, young brother, wait a minute. I think you might want to look at it from a different point of view and let me explain to you why. Now,
Hey, young brother,
Hey, yeah,
you were
let's go
wrong.
ahead and get
Your
to the
sole prop
point.
is not public, brother. Let's calm it down. Let's back it up. I'm gonna
Please
redo it.
do.
Hey, brother, you were wrong. Your sole prop is not public. It's private. Show me where you learned that your sole prop
you're,
was
you're
public.
but now you're being condescending to me when you could have did it and handled it the right way the first time if that's what you wanted to say.
Hey, let's go ahead and
Let's move
stop
forward.
personal attacks and go ahead and get to the point. If you want to get to your point where it's not public, say it now. If not, you're going. All right, go ahead with your actual retort. If not, the conversation is over.
Yeah. Please.
I'm sorry. I was going to ask a question before all of that, but this is Jovan. Hi everyone. I actually was going to ask a question about that as well. I don't want to get into soul prop, any of that, but I've had a couple of experiences in the past week dealing with setting up my accounts. All I wanted to know is, does it, because I've told the bank and stuff that I wanted my accounts to be irrevocable trust accounts. And, I also assumed that, that they are supposed to be non-interest bearing. But I did tell them, just in case, that I wanted them non-interest bearing, and they were saying that they were interest bearing accounts. So I talked to, and I do have an account with Fidelity. I spoke to someone today about that, and they said that they're going to, as core, they set it up as an interest bearing, but I told them I wanted that changed. And so the investment relations department is going to call me on Monday in order to work on getting that changed. Okay. So, so what I was trying to ask is, does it matter when you're recouping the credits and actually depositing those checks when we get them? Does it matter that it's an interest bearing or not interest bearing at all? That's my only question.
So part of this is going to be the fact that since you're the trustee over an account and your accounts are set up for trusts, is that you're not supposed to be making a profit off of the funds that you're in charge of protecting and sending off to the trustees or beneficiaries or wherever it is they're going. So that's the reason why we would have a non-interest bearing account, is so that you're not accruing interest off of that and making money off of that money while it's in your possession.
Absolutely. Okay. And that's what I figured. And so I'm just getting confirmation from from you guys, so that I know exactly what else to tell them, because they're going to have to change that. I told them from the get-go. They set up the accounts with no problems. But and it was really easy to set up the account at Fidelity as well. And but they, when I spoke to someone to get clarification on everything, they told me that they set it up automatically as an interest bearing account, and that's not what I wanted. So thank you so much for your clarification on that, and I will make sure that I get them changed, because I also have a trust account at my credit union where I'm at. So and she's going to have to come in. She did the same thing And I'm like, no, that's not what I asked for. I asked for a non-interest bearing irrevocable trust account. So, so that's what I wanted to get clarification on. Thank you so much for your help.
Yeah, I know there's like two scenarios here. An interest-bearing account is fine if you're using it as just the account, but I know that if you're wanting to try and use that account to deposit an IRS check, that's really what makes it to where you don't want to have it as an interest-bearing account, so that it is a non-public facing account for the IRS to deposit a check into. So I think that's one of the reasons why you would have it one way or the other, because they're like no wrong ways of doing it. It just depends on what you're going to use it for.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And yes, it is to deposit credits and what have you, in the near future. Because I wanted to make sure all my foundation was set up and everything first before I decided to work on the CYC processes, as far as pulling down credits and things like that. So I got all of that other stuff out of the way, foundational forms and what have you. So now I just wanted to just kind of, just chill, pull out credits and stuff, but I want to make sure that the accounts were correct first. And if it mattered as much. And so if for any reason they don't change it, because the person that set it up at the credit union, she is the bank manager. So then I would need to go over her if she's not willing to change it, right? Because they won't let me speak to anyone else in the bank. I have to continue to speak with her, and that's it. I can't speak with anyone else when I go into the branch. It has to be the bank manager.
Right. And if the bank manager was going to send you to somebody, it would be in the main bank building. So you would have to go outside the building in order to talk to somebody who's higher than that bank manager.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
May I add to that? Add to the conversation a little bit?
Sure.
This is Melanin Blessed Noble Phoenix here.
Hi, Phoenix. How are you?
Fantastic. How's everyone? Good.
Well, glad to hear your voice.
Well, likewise.
Yes.
I'm glad I finally made it in time before you guys finished out. How much longer do you have on the call? Because I think you started at 1. Is that
Depending on what class you holding.
Okay. Well, we about to go in. So first of all, I want to add additional perspective in what you're doing and why you're doing it with the non-interest bearing accounts. Congratulations that you got that far. That is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you found it, easy or relatively easy to kind of navigate through that. Yes, you do have to monitor what they do and make sure that they're fulfilling your wishes, because you are the client and you are the creditor when you're going in that capacity. So that's fantastic.
Absolutely.
So make sure you get those things corrected. Now, the other thing that you definitely want to keep in your mind at all times is how you deposit those credits. I'm sure you've had discussion or you've heard that when you receive your Treasury check or the Treasury deposit electronically, being, direct deposit to your account, you want to update that signature card. All right.
Okay.
All right. And if you haven't done so, go back and look at what you signed already, because your signature card, if it's going to be an electronic, is just as important as what you put on a physical check that you're going to deposit. All right. Now, sometimes they're going to tell you nonsense like, well, we don't do that, or we can't do it. No, go get that doggone signature card. I need to update it because my signature is changed. And I want to make sure you have the right signature on there. Now, that's not the real reason you're doing it. What you're doing is you want to establish in whatever account that's been corrected that all funds, when they come into that account, all deposits are by special trust credit deposit, or special, however you want to put that. Okay. You can put trust in front of the special, or trust special deposit, or however you want to say it. and redeem in lawful money pursuant to 12 USC 411 and 412. Okay. Now,
Okay.
why are you doing that again? Because you've already had the money converted into lawful funds because it came from the Treasury, right? And then when you deposit it, if you deposit it with a blank endorsement, you're converting it back to fiat, and that makes you or puts you in a precarious position where they are going to come back. They will come back and spank that you know what that you sit on. Okay, are we
Okay.
clear?
Yes,
Because
sir.
what you literally would have done, you've taken lawful money and converted it back to Federal Reserve notes because you left the endorsement blank. You cannot do that. All right. Now
Okay.
you are a threat to the trust, your own trust, and you've demonstrated incompetency. And you didn't even know something that simple is going to get you in trouble. All right. I know of several different people who got funds back from the Treasury and they just deposited into their regular bank account, went down to Navy, Federal, or whatever else, their personal account, and this account, even a trust account. And they didn't specify that on the back of their endorsement. And they came back a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years later. It doesn't matter. They will come back. Okay.
Okay.
Come back. And then they're demanding that money back because see, it's like you messed up. You demonstrated enough competence to get the check, but then when you got it, you didn't follow through and secure yourself and that account and that trust. You cannot go backwards. Once you pull out and you get a lawful credit from the Treasury, especially these large amounts, you want to be very careful about where you deposit and how you do it. All right.
Okay.
All right. So that I want to address that thing. Go ahead. Questions?
Can you go over what's supposed to be on the signature card one more time, please? And
Okay.
sorry for
The
interrupting.
signature card should say that you are making a special trust deposit, or you can say a special trust credit deposit to account number boom 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 boom. Redeem in lawful money per 12 USC 411 412, and then you have your endorsement. I mean, your actual signature, autograph. Okay. After that, I'm going to say autograph instead of signature. All right.
And pursuant, I'm sorry, sweetheart.
Pursuant to 12, Title 12, United States Code 411 and 412.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay?
Thank
You,
you.
you got it. All right. So if you didn't do that before, okay, it's not the end of the world. Change it now. Go back and change it now to correct your mistake or your oversight because you didn't know. So if you've already done that and you got a large check back, did you put it in an interest bearing account? That's number one. If the answer is no, that's very good that you didn't put it into a normal bank checking account. If you put it into a normal bank checking account, all right, and you already start spending the money, okay, I'm telling you, they are going to come back and start looking for you. It might take 2, 3, 4 years, okay. However, the upside to this is what they normally would do, all right. And I've seen this over and over again when somebody's in trouble with the Internal Revenue and the DOJ and tax evasion and all that stuff. At the core of it, they got the money, they spent the money, didn't account for it, and but they had got it back from a whatever transaction they did. Okay, it was a large amount, and then they converted it into Federal Reserve notes so they could go, spending on a spending spree. That's the worst thing you can do with these large checks when you get them. Okay. You need to invest it, put it in a trust, and then use the trust credit from that point forward. All right. Now, will they give you a different form of specie? No, because if you read in the Treasury manual, okay, when they talk about lawful money, they will tell you that there's not enough of a demand for lawful money, meaning the people aren't aware to merit them issuing a different type of species of Treasury note versus the Federal Reserve note that's already out there. What does that mean, Brother Phoenix? Very simple. It means there ain't enough people out there. Out of 350 million people, there's barely 500,000 that'll do it the right way and redeem their checks in lawful money. So because it's such a small amount, that's less than 1%. Okay, if my math is correct. All right, that's less than 1 to 2%. If that's the case, no, it's not worth it for them to come up with a separate greenback for you to use in commerce that says lawful money versus the Federal Reserve note, because it's public policy. All right, that the Federal Reserve notes serve as legal tender of payment. Okay, so there's not enough demand when 10%, 20% of Americans start demanding lawful money by endorsements on their checks, by endorsement on their signature accounts, and then they got to redeem that stuff in lawful money, which is not Federal Reserve notes, and it has a higher value. So you get more for your money back. You get more bang for your buck, okay, in credit. But the physical reserve notes still serve as legal tender when you're exchanging it for goods and services in John Q. Public. Okay. Does that make sense so far? Is everybody clear on that before I move on?
Yes, very
Good
clear.
information. Yes.
All right. So we have to know this. We got to keep these things in the back of our minds. We only know this from study, and study, and study. That's how we know. Okay. And like any good scientist, okay, we have an hypothesis, then we go and experiment to prove that something is right, or whether it works or whether it doesn't work. That's how we make mistakes. We fail our way to success. Okay? Because every successful business owner out there, none of them to step up to the plate and hit a home run 100% of the time, every time. Nobody does that. No one. I'm not going to say nobody. No one does that. Every business owner out there has to figure out what's going to make him successful with what he's trying to do in his market, his niche of the market. You can go out and copy people all day long, but guess what? You got to be successful for you based on what your agenda was, what your product and service is, what your niche is, et cetera, et cetera. And there's no exact formula that's going to get it there perfectly the first time. You can execute and have a measure of success, then you got to perfect that success so that you can continually do it. And that's a scientific method. There is a scientific method for you to do that and to accomplish that. So please remember, all of you are scientists, and you need to be scientific in what you're doing, meaning you need to have a formula, you got to have a hypothesis, you got to prove it right, and find out what doesn't work. By finding out what does not work, you eventually figure out what does work. And then you rinse and repeat until it doesn't work anymore or something changes, okay, with the circumstances that you're working with. Are we clear? All right.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
the
Yes.
the
Yes.
the other thing to bring to your attention, okay, that I'm just sharing with you, is the fact that all businesses that you set up and interface into the matrix, all the corporate entities, all the persons. And remember, what is a person? A person is a trust, an estate, an association, a partnership, an individual, a sole prop. All persons are deemed, and that's a legal term from legalese. If you don't know the word deem, you always stop, pause, and go look it up if you don't know it. But understand what deemed means in legalese. And I'm not going to break it down for you. If you don't know, you best go look it up because it's a dangerous word. But all of these public persons are deemed to be for the benefit of the public. Okay? Why do I bring that up? Because all of them are under the umbrella and being used under the umbrella of the subcorporate chartered entities called the state of, because that's why they want you to register your vessel, your person, at the Secretary of State's office. And immediately you are deemed to be for the benefit of the public because you registered it. And again, to register something at the Secretary of State's office or anywhere to register it, if you register your vehicle, you just gave up the title. And now you are a mere user. When you register your deed to your property, you again become a tenant by registering it. Okay. Now, for legal purposes, it's necessary to do that with a property. With a car, it doesn't have to be registered. They look for your registration statement. Why? And your registration and driver's license. Why? Because you're deemed to be a public officer. And you're there for the benefit of the public. And you're engaged in commerce. And as such, we get to regulate that. Remember, a public officer is deemed as what? Who is a public officer? Your person is a public officer, which is also a taxpayer, which is also a U.S. citizen, which is also a employee of the federal United States Corporation Company. All of those terms I just used are one and the same. So how do you get your person to not be a taxpayer, to not be a U.S. citizen, to not be a resident of D.C.? I'm kind of throwing a lot at you right this moment on purpose. Because if that's a little fuzzy in your mind, that means you don't understand all of that enough to see it clearly for what it is and to know what your exit strategy needs to be. Is it wrong to have a person that is interfaced with the matrix? Absolutely not. Is it wrong to leave all your persons like that? Okay. That depends. If your goal is to work in the public, all right, and to have those agencies, you can still use them. Okay. Because they gave you the most versatile tool you've ever known. You just don't know how to use it. And that's your person, your individual person from the birth certificate. That is a state agency. Why? Because it was created by the state. Who's the CEO of that state agency? You are. Who's in charge of it? Who's in charge of its public policy? You are. Did you draw up and write your public policy? Hell no, because you didn't know you needed to do it. Did you know you're the CEO? Oh, yes, I'm the CEO. I'm the president. But what kind of presidential things did you do? What kind of CEO things did you do? Did you even establish the policy of how you're going to interact with the corporation and then notice them? You don't ask permission. You're the CEO. Who does the CEO normally ask permission of when he needs to change policy for the benefit of his company? He doesn't ask anybody. He might consult with his board of directors if you're talking about a real corporation, a normal one, but there is no board of directors for you to communicate with. So you get to establish policy. You're the captain of the vessel. You're the CEO. Act like it. What is your policy that you're going to establish, put in writing, and then who you going to notice? You're going to notice the Secretary of State. Why? He's the one in charge of dealing with foreign captains of vessels because your vessel is foreign to the United States because it's supposed to be on the land, but they give it to you and they put you out in the water in maritime. Your job is to come back and moor it to the land, okay? Dock it on the land and then create your situs so that it is attached to the land and no longer lost at sea. Okay? Are we clear, everyone? Did I explain that,
Very
sufficient?
good. I got it.
All right.
I got
No.
it.
Could you
Okay,
please go
so,
over it again, please? Thank you.
all right, say that again. What do you want me to go over again?
The whole thing, because I'm new. This is my first time here. Hello,
Okay.
everybody.
Okay, no
So
worries.
go
Well,
over
here's what I'm gonna
again.
do. I'm not gonna go
Thank-
through it all again because I
Okay.
was just flowing. Okay. Now,
Yes, you were. Yes, you were.
It
yeah,
is it
I
is
flow.
recorded.
Yes,
It is
yes,
Oh,
recorded.
fantastic.
yes,
Beautiful.
yes. So that's
Okay.
what I was gonna recommend. Go back to it, listen to this again during the recording, because when I get going like this, I'm flowing. And
Yes.
I
Let him
honestly,
flow.
I
Let
couldn't
him
even,
flow.
I could
Yes.
not tell you what I just told you again. I can't even
Uh,
repeat it,
that's all
right?
right. Thank you.
Because
It's
that's
recorded.
coming straight from my spirit. Okay.
Yes.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
All right. So, any questions on
Yes,
that?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
It's probably not direct, but it can be collaborated with it.
Sure.
How you doing, brother?
Well,
I heard good things about you, so let me just say that first. Secondly, I was doing this almost about 5 years now, and when I started, I just jumped out in the waters thinking that whoever told me to do it, it was a good thing, and I was going to get close to this, Sesta K account.
mhm.
But having two names, that's my maiden name and my married name, on my identification, and I assumed both names, my maiden and my married name. Is that a good thing? And I'll be able to collaborate the both in time with a trust?
Yes. So women, yes, you do have that as a logistical, um I'm not going to say nightmare, just a logistical situation that has to be addressed. Okay. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just a little bit more complicated. So yes, you want to claim both. You want to claim your birth name and you want to claim the married name. All right. And if you get married more than once, claim the other one, because each time that name changes, okay, they create more accounts. Okay. So know that, because you want to lay claim to you being, your trust being, correction, I'll say it that way, your trust being the secured party or the holder of all those names. Okay. Now, speaking of that, here's a mere suggestion. Okay. You don't have to do this, but I did it because it was a scientific approach, it was logical, and it covered all my bases. I did an affidavit of assumed names. Now you can go and do an assumed name on every individual name and every derivative thereof. But as you can imagine, the derivatives of your original birth name can be very exhaustive, can be a very exhaustive list. That can be 25 to 40 or 50 variations of your initial name that your mother called you and that they made into a corporate entity, that straw man name, birth certificate name. There can be as many as 30 to 40 variations, derivatives of that name. Now, if you want to do an affidavit for each one of them separately, or an assumed name, DBA for all of them, you can do that. That's very expensive. So what I did is I said, okay, you know what? I operate from my trust. My trust is the secured party for all of them because that's the way I choose to run my organization. You hear all of that? I'm
Yes.
taking control of all my persons. So in order to do that, I got to basically pull them all together in my arms, okay? And now they're basically close to my bosom. Okay, not that I have one, but I'm just using that term to say my chest. Okay, I got them close to my chest, right? And so what I'm doing now, I said, all right, since I'm going to control all of these, I'm going to put on the record that this trust, this is the name holder that's doing business for all of these vessels, all of these persons. So I created that affidavit. It's a 2.5, maybe 3-page affidavit. With the notary, it's 3 pages. So it's really only 2. And I listed every derivative I could think of and every person that I've ever created, that I've created. Okay. So that my trust is doing business as all of them and controls all of those vessels. Okay. That's going to be simple for a lot of you out there. When I did that affidavit, I didn't just do it, I published it in a legal newspaper. When I did that, let me tell you what the effect is. The effect is it's international notice because I published it in a legal newspaper. Didn't have to be a big one. It ain't got to be the Washington Post. It ain't got to be the New York Times. It ain't got to be a big giant one. Okay. You can use a thrifty nickel. You can use a penny saver. You can use a local magazine that has a legal news section. Okay. As long as it's published and as long as you can get an affidavit of publication. I'll tell you what my affidavit of publication says. Okay. And this is how you know you scored big, because the affidavit says something in the county of, and it, like in this case, it was Hillsborough County. And then it says in the circuit court of, wow, did you hear that?
Yes.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
So that legal newspaper is going through court to make that announcement because they are tied to the court system. And that should be in the affidavit of publication. From a legal, when you get your affidavit of publication from the newspaper, it's going to show you what county court they're registered with. So that means I've accomplished two things. One, I gave legal notice that I'm running these vessels. These are my persons. My trust operates them. And don't mess with my personal trust, private trust property. I ain't got to even say that. Just by reason of the fact that I gave that notice is their notice. Don't touch and trespass on my property, my trust property. Wow. Wow. And I ran it through the court at the same time by way of that newspaper announcement. And I did not have to go and register all of my vessels, all of my persons with the Secretary of State. So if somebody says, well, you ain't registered in the state of blah, 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 you know what I say to them? First of all, they're acting like a Karen. So they get smacked. And I smack them with truth. And the truth is, I ran that newspaper article. Now shut up and get out of my face. And don't touch my property. That's
I love it.
That's attitude. All right. But that's also scientific. All right. All right. Questions
Then
on
you
that?
take it to a court of clerks, or is it already done after the publishing?
The affidavit says it's in the county of and the court of, so they already know.
Okay.
I don't gotta go down and record it again, although I might want to do it. I might want to go down there if I feel, inclined to do so, and record it again. Okay, but it's already there because they've been noticed. Okay, they've been noticed. Now, understand how the system does that to you all the time. When there's not a warrant, when there's a foreclosure notice, where do they post them?
Newspaper.
Huh, ain't that interesting? When there's an attempt to not foreclose, but to dispossess someone, to evict them out of their house, where is it posted?
Paper.
Why? Because that's going through the court. So the court already knows it. Then they serve you some legal notice, okay, directly. But they post it in the newspaper, whether they eventually notice you directly or not, but they're always going to put it in the newspaper because that's part of your legal notice. And if you don't happen to read that legal newspaper, whose problem is that?
Your own.
Yours. It's not theirs. Because remember, in the old days, before we had newspapers, they would post things where? I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. Where did they post things? How was notice given to the townspeople?
Post office.
And where else? Where else?
The newspaper.
No, this is before newspapers.
In a public
Square.
square.
Courthouse.
There you go.
Square.
There you go. So you can go down to the local courthouse, the town square, and you post it on the big courthouse building. Okay, you post it on the column where the public notices go. That was our local newspaper. You post it there, and if you didn't happen to go downtown and see that somebody's made a claim on your property or your horse or your whatever, okay, or there's a warrant out for you or whatever, okay, you just didn't notice because you didn't go down there. Whose fault is that? They would leave it up for 30 days. Oh, you didn't know? Well, too bad. I got it right here. And people would make a copy of that, or they would, take it with them, or they would go and say it's posted on the courthouse steps. All right. And it was your job to go down to the town square and just check those notices to make sure ain't nobody bothering, nobody's coming after your stuff, your property. All right. If you didn't and you didn't know, and somebody came and tried to make claim to your property, they would be successful. And your notice was given, but you just didn't know about it. Okay. So that's the value of using the newspapers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The last part of that, international notice. All of our legal newspapers is fair game across the planet. And believe me, the international community is paying attention to legal notices. Because that's how they know where they want to invest. That's how they know what to touch and what not to touch because of the legal notice claims internationally. All right. That's very important for you to protect your intellectual property, your actual property, blah, 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 blah. The list goes on from there. International notice. Okay. And our newspapers, because they're online, are being recognized internationally. Okay. All right. So where else was I going to go? First, let me stop again and ask, what questions do we have in that regard, if any?
I wanted to ask a quick question.
All right, first sister, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question. Would you also put the names on your Schedule A? And I yield.
On the UCC? Is that what you're asking about?
Well, the Schedule A with the UCC as well as the Schedule A when you in your trust.
Yes, you're going to list them as trust property because every last one of those persons should be listed as, the trust has an interest in them because it is the creator or the grantor has of those entities, which is also in many cases the responsible party. All right. So remember now, this is how you tie them all together. When you go onto the IRS to get an EIN for banking purposes for that vessel, all right, so that it can operate in commerce and have banking accounts, okay, of all types, not just a demand account. All right. They always ask, who is the responsible party? And you want to connect and use, in fact, you almost have to now. In fact, you do. I'm just going to say you have to use it. The SSN blue card person. Why? Because it has an interest in everything you do by way of the SSN, because all of your credits, all of your treasury is vested in the SSN person. They just don't give you access to the vault. Okay. Now, I just heard of a way that you can literally tap into that side through the Social Security Department or administration. All right. I haven't worked out the details myself personally. I just heard about them and I'm going to start investing in that and looking to make it happen. And it starts with you getting a hearing with the Social Security Administration. And there's certain things you got to have in place and do ahead of time. And, I'm going to walk through that process myself. Anybody want to go through it with me? Fine. Okay. I'll
I
do it
want to go.
right.
I want to go. I want to go.
Take me with you.
Take me with you. Okay.
Don't leave me.
Yeah. All right. So
Yeah.
I'll
I'll
do
be
it.
in your trunk.
I'm going to do a
Add
separate
me
call.
today.
I'll do a separate call on that. Um, and you guys will be invited to come out and take a listen with that on the Melanin Blessed channel. Okay. And
Thank you.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Gratitude.
So literally, when you go through that methodology, it allows you access to basically claim that one of the SSN accounts. Okay, because there's more than one. All right. And so you'll be able to claim one of them. They will close it down. You know, don't think that they're going to be happy about it because they got to basically terminate one of the bonds. Okay. And when they do that, they basically got to give you a check for it. Okay. Is my understanding
Right.
so far. All right. And then again, we're back to what we started talking about when I came in. And that is when you get that check back, you do not want to put that into a regular bank account. You see why that's so important? Because now you got lawful money from the Treasury, and you can't put that in regular usury accounts. That goes against divine principles, divine law, natural law. All right. Usury has no place, okay, with all of you so-called Christians. You ain't supposed to be involved in usury. Okay. That's part of the Abrahamic covenant. Or did we forget that still applies? That still applies. Okay. Just because the Mosaic law, the law that Moses came, and the Abrahamic covenant, just because you may not recognize them because you're like, oh, well, I'm Christian today, and I'm not picking on no religion because I was Christian for 45 years. Okay. So stop it. Don't even think like that. Okay. So don't even think like that. But a lot of Christians think they're exempt from all that old stuff when they don't realize that what the Christianity is supposed to represent is the fulfillment of the law. And the fulfillment of the law was based on what? The law of love being the primary universal law that covers everything. And under the law of love, you don't take advantage of through usury others. You get it now?
Yes.
All right. So I'm gonna stop
Yes.
right there on that part and go back to the let's see, before the SSN, there was something else I was trying to make a point about with your vessel.
Sorry, before you move on to something else, how do you get onto your Melanin Blessed channel?
You type in Melanin Blessed Noble Phoenix and search for that, and you'll see I'm out there. Okay. There's only one Melanin Blessed Noble Phoenix. Right now, you'll see on here it shows a big tree, okay, for the icon. But on the channel, it shows a voracious looking canine with these massive teeth on it. Okay. And there's a comment in there that says, don't even think about it. Or it said, what does it say? Anyone trying to impersonate me, because I had somebody try to impersonate me just last week. So I changed the icon on the Melanin Blessed channel. Okay. So
Awesome,
you'll see
thanks.
it. Yeah, you'll see it. Did you find it?
Not yet. I'm doing it now.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. And just join there, find the link. It's there. And if not, shoot me a direct message and I'll send you an invite. Okay. And you can get in that way. So there was something else I was trying to go back to on the person. Okay, the assumed name, I covered that. Then there was the UCC, that's it. So yes, you want to attach it on your property schedule in your trust. And then if you did a UCC under the attached property lists and schedules, you're going to list every last one that you can think of person that you have and all derivatives of the person from your blue card person, your birth certificate name. Okay, list every derivative thereof that you can think of as claimed property. And then any new persons you created. For example, I have the Autochthonous American Moors for Enlightened Families of Tomorrow Private Membership Association. Okay, that has its own name entity. all right, and EIN number, right? For banking purposes. I don't need it because it's not a taxpayer, because I didn't designate it as a tax. It's private. It's a private membership association. Okay. So it's not a real taxpayer, right? And the other thing, so I included that in the UCC filing. So it's one of my persons, okay, that I've already laid claim to, right? So anybody that wants to trespass on my property, you can do so, but you do so at your own peril, okay? Because one of the other things I'm gonna just add as an extra note, you also want to claim all your email accounts. I bet you, how many of you ever thought to claim all your email accounts?
My sister.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay.
No, I didn't. That's a good idea, though.
Claim it. Why? Because see, all these people out there are making bots and robots and Autobots and transformer bots, whatever kind of bots. I don't care. All right. They're doing all of that because those are unclaimed accounts. Every email is an account. You just don't recognize it as an account. You see what I mean? You got so damn many accounts, excuse the language, but you got so doggone many accounts, you don't even know how to claim them. You don't even know that they're accounts and that they have value to them. Okay.
So would that be social media accounts also?
Heck yeah.
That
Yes.
makes sense, because then when they hack you or do something in your name, you can send them a fee schedule.
Doggone right. Because you done
Exactly.
trespassed on private property, but you can't do that if you ain't claimed it. It's abandoned.
I got you.
It's
I'm on it.
trees. These are trees out in the forest. How the heck you gonna try to send me a claim for a tree in the forest? And I just happened to come across it and decided to pick the fruit. Don't nobody own this because ain't nobody claimed it. You see that? And your email accounts and them social media accounts are the same way. There are trees in the forest and ain't nobody claimed them. So I can use them
Good
all.
stuff.
Y'all see what I'm doing? I'm giving you visuals. So the words have depth of meaning, depth and meaning. Okay. By creating a picture in your mind, you see clearly the word I'm saying. Go ahead.
Would your private banking EIN fit in that UCC filing as well?
My private banking EIN. Yes, because my private banker is there. Okay. My private banker is included in that filing. It's included in my trust. It's one of my persons. It's one of my assumed names. So it's one of my persons. It's a creation of mine. So of course I'm going to claim that. Okay.
So that sounds like that's the key right there, is when you create something, that's your intellectual property and it needs to have ownership.
Correct. Now,
Gotcha.
I want to draw your attention to another visual. You just said that's the key right there. That's the key. Okay, guess what? I got news for you, my dear sister. Love you. I got news for you. That's one of many keys. I'm going to draw your attention back to the Matrix. I told you I studied the Matrix. I don't watch that movie 75 plus times. Really, probably 100 plus. All right. And I study that because it's a documentary on an overlay of life in the Matrix system. A lot of y'all are missing the boat because you're like, well, I ain't got time. Look, it's just 2 hours. You waste 2 hours on social media. You'll waste 2 hours playing Candy Crush. Throw that shit out. Excuse me. All right. Nobody on this call, but hopefully, but people waste that kind of time all day. Okay. All day. Anyway, there was a scene in the movie. They were looking for the key maker. And when they found him, what was he doing? Making keys. And when he got up to go with them, this is in Matrix number 2. When he got up to go with them, how many keys did he take with him? A lot of them. My point, my dear sister, is there's more than one key. And different keys open what? Different doors. So this is one of the keys. It is not the key. That's why I bring it up. It's one of the keys. and you're going to use many keys. You're going to become your own key maker by studying, by understanding how these things work. That's how you become your own key maker. Are we clear? Hi, Sister Danielle.
Yes.
Greetings. How are you?
I tried to call you and I didn't hear from you. You didn't call me back. I am so hurt.
Did you call me? Oh my
I
God. I'm
did.
gonna search for it. Oh,
I did. That was a
I'm
week
so
ago. And I was
sorry.
like, man, she ain't even talking to me.
No, never that. Never that. I'm gonna get back in touch with you.
All right, very good, very good. All right, did that straighten that out in terms of the key? The key? Are we clear?
Yes.
Very good.
All right, fantastic. Yes. Fantastic. Okay. So I've shared for a little bit, and that was my intention when I came in to listen. And I'm gonna say to my dear brother, Indigenous Cherokee, um, where you at? There you are. I'm gonna say to you and the other brother, y'all stop that nonsense when y'all are on this platform. Okay? Neither one, y'all both got heated. Somebody got to be the mind of reason, the voice of reasoning. Okay? We're not always gonna agree. But on these types of platforms, we cannot be arguing and fussing with each other and more or less having a hostile environment. Okay. All of us have to be leaders. And in doing so, when somebody is wrong, yes, you respectfully correct them. Okay. Or you have a private conversation with them. Invite them to a private conversation and correct them offline. And y'all can scream and holler at each other all you want. But on these platforms, we don't do that because that's not professional, number one. That's
It
not
is so.
Christ-like, number two. And number three, that's not exercising the power of love. Okay. Love demands justice and it demands accurateness, but not by berating each other and putting each other down or in any way setting a bad example for the young ones. And I'm not talking about age because everybody here is adults. So I just want to say that as a corrective measure, as an older elder on this line, no, do not do that. Anybody, not just to you two, anyone, don't do that on this call. That's disrespecting all these matriarchs, all the sisters out here. We don't do that. Okay. As men, we can respectfully disagree without fighting. Okay. We can do that. All right. So keep that in the back of your mind, both of you. I love you both. Okay.
Phoenix, how you doing?
I'm not clean.
Could you go over that what you told Javon earlier because I don't think it was recorded and I'm working and I wanted that what to put on this special deposit and those codes that you gave. Could you give us that one more time, please?
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
For special trust deposit credit, or you can say for special deposit trust credits or some variation thereof. Okay. Redeem in lawful money pursuant to Title 12, United States Code 411, 412. And then
Thank you so much. I
and then you
appreciate
put your
that.
autograph by BY, okay? And then you autograph it and you put without recourse. That's the other thing I forgot to add. Okay? Always through your without
Gotcha.
recourse, especially when you're talking banking, without recourse. All right? On a banking.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I would
Hey,
like to
Phoenix,
ask
I
for
got a
a
question.
clarification.
Go ahead with your clarification, Lulu. Go ahead, Lulu. Was that Lulu or was that I thought I saw you trying to speak. Lulu, do you have a
Yeah,
question?
can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So I heard you saying that when you go to the bank, provide your social. Is that a misunderstanding or do you really say that?
I did not. That was not the context of what I was saying. I'm saying when you get your EIN number from the Internal Revenue, Okay. I was not talking about going to the bank and giving them your social. That's not what I was talking about. You need to listen to that whole part again. Because I said it is when you get a new person and when you go to get an EIN, the responsible party is the what? The birth certificate name and the number assigned to it. Okay. The SSN person is the responsible party because it holds all of your credits. They just don't give you access to the credit side of the ledger because you are deemed, here's that word again, to be a debtor until you show otherwise that you really are a creditor. Okay.
And that was interesting because we had just been done talking about that before you showed up. And so I
Really?
feel like you threw a wrench on it, saying, you can provide that information when you have, your trust EIN, because I've always been told don't provide it.
Yeah, they know. And again, this is at the Internal Revenue, right? They already know it. And you have to have an SSN person that is responsible, okay, for those entities. The reason why they changed that, and they changed it, I'm going to say around 2020, I think they changed it, maybe 2019. Because prior to that, I used my trust as the responsible party. I used other entities as the responsible party. The reason they stopped it is because too many organizations and persons out there had an endless list of persons and you couldn't figure out who was who and what was what. And they used it for money laundering purposes. And it was a big, gigantic paper mill, okay? And you couldn't figure out who was who. So they figured out that no, we're going to change it. And the responsible party always has to be an SSN person.
So for your trust account that you're going to create at the bank, we will still provide that social?
No. Okay. Here's where you're getting hung up, Lulu. You keep thinking about at the bank, and I'm not talking about at the bank. I'm talking about when you get your EIN, the responsible party is the SSN person.
Got it. Thank
For
you.
your EIN. When you go to the bank and you're opening up a bank account for the trust, the SSN person ain't got nothing to do with the trust. So if they're demanding, well, we got to have your social. No, you don't. No, you don't. And if you read the instructions that you get from the Internal Revenue, it tells you when you get your EIN that you can use this to open up a bank account. Why would they tell you that if that was illegal or that it was meant? They wouldn't tell you that. They tell you that if you read each page as you fill it out online, read and print each page. This is about studying. This is about being scientific about what you do when you do it. Okay. This is why I'm able to speak the way I am. Okay.
Yeah, and I understood that. It's only that it sounded like you were saying the opposite, and I was just trying to clarify.
Yeah, I'm glad you clarified it. We got that straight because that's not what I was saying. Okay. I was only talking in reference to getting an EIN for banking purposes for your new person. Okay. So in the IRS system, they know all of these tie back to the SSN person. So here's where that benefits you. Here's where it benefits you. Wow, you guys are going to love this part. Should I even tell you this?
Oh my goodness. Don't stop now.
Please.
Okay. Let me see how to phrase this. All right. How it benefits you when you use the SSN as your responsible party when you're applying for a new EIN. Okay. Initially, the funding for that trust can come from and will come from the credit side of the ledger of the blue card person. What are you talking about, Brother Phoenix?
It's unlimited.
Say again. Say that again.
Limited.
It's unlimited. All right. It may as well be unlimited, although there may be, say only $100 billion in that account, okay, of credit that's available to you. Maybe there's only 100 billion. Let's say it's only 100 billion. For all practical purposes, isn't that unlimited to you?
Almost. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So the sister's comment would be correct. If there's 100 billion sitting there in credit that you have created through your lifetime, that's how the credit is created. How is your credits stored in your person's name that you don't have access to all of them credits? You only have access to the debt side of the ledger, the payable side, not the receivable side where all the credit's sitting at. Okay, your exemption. How many of you recognize you get a unified exemption of what is it, $3.5 million a year? Okay, some of you know what I'm talking about, some of you don't.
Yeah, 4.5, because then you got the unified credits.
Okay, so it's up to 4.5. I'll take your word for it, okay? Because I haven't looked at it in a long minute. All right, but you got to earn 4.5 million before you even taxable because you got an exemption for 4.5 million dollars. Okay, now is that going to help you with your 1040? No, because that's separate. That's different. Unless you're doing it through trust, okay, in which you do have that much credit available to you. You just don't know how to use it yet. All right. All right. Let me go back though. How is it benefiting you? You have this unlimited credit, or let's just say you got $100 billion of credit that's available to you. All right. When you receive your new EIN number and you do an acceptance on it, and then you want to fund that vessel, and you do a bill of exchange or you do whatever you're going to do, your payment coupon, whatever method you want to do, to give them at the Treasury authorization by way of the IRS. Listen carefully. You give them authorization to credit that vessel. Where is it coming from? Bing, bing, bing.
The SSN number, the blue card.
Are we clear? Right answer. Are we clear?
Yeah.
See, a lot of you have pieces to the puzzle, but you don't know how to put them all together. You don't know how to interlock them. Okay. Sometimes we get confused on that. All right. Or we get lost and then we get off track, off the railroad track. Okay. My job.
All right, guys, I got your 5-minute warning before the meeting will be over.
Okay, thank you. So I got to just help you all get back on track and keep you focused so you can stay on the rail, get to your journey, your destination, whatever it is. Okay? Whatever it is. So with that, I'm going to just thank everybody for your attention, your time, and thank you for letting me share with you.
Yes, I got a question before we drop off.
Go ahead.
Hey, once that you take that check, or if it gets the deposit from the Treasury to your Fidelity or your trust account, is it safe then I can go ahead and just take the money out and start using it?
Okay, so you're better off, instead of taking it out, leave it in there and write instruments off of it, especially if you're dealing with your brokerage account. Leave the principal there, okay? Let them invest it, let them, whatever, give them instructions, okay? And then, use a portion of it. Remember, Fidelity is a brokerage, all right? That's a brokerage house. Charles Schwab's and the rest of them. They have multitude of accounts, okay? And they can make your money make more money. You want them to do that, all right? You want them to take them credits and make more money for you. So set aside a demand account, okay, a cash management account, and ask them to go over all the different types of accounts that they have. Then you can peel a portion of it off, leave the principal there. Don't try to withdraw so you can have money in your stupid pocket. Okay? That's old school thinking, and that's trouble thinking. So, so get that out of your mind. I'm just going to tell you up front, get that out of your mind. You're not going to pad your pockets with Federal Reserve notes, ever. You got we are addicted to that crap. As a people, we're addicted to it because we think that's money. Oh, I got this money. I can go pay cash for. Get out of that notion. Get out of that mentality. It's going to keep you in trouble and keep you tethered to the matrix. To
Can
your
we
own
use it for our
demise.
daily needs?
Say again.
Can we use it for our daily needs, expenses, our living expenses,
Of
our
course,
bills?
but your living expenses and your bills and everything else should be in what name? Not your individual birth certificate name. Stop that. Start
That's true.
conveying things into the name of the trust. Make the trust responsible. That's how you
The
live
revocable,
privately.
the revocable trust or the irrevocable trust?
Either one.
Okay.
Okay? Either one.
But
What about buying homes or needing a new
Same
vehicle?
thing. If you buy a house and you need to get a vehicle, don't go down and contract with it in the name of your blue card person. Don't do it. Okay? Don't do it.
think it would,
Use the trust. Use one
it
of
would
your
help
other
us
persons.
all. Yeah, help us all to learn bookkeeping and how to
It's
write
going to force
invoices
you to learn
and
it.
write.
Right.
Yes, got
It's going
to,
to force you.
because yes, you got
May,
to.
may I ask one question? Some people in here already have credits in their account. How do they pull them down?
Unfortunately, we're out of
We're out of
time for
time.
that.
We're
All
out
right,
of time.
guys, I really like how this was going. The questions going from the bank to us using these, maybe putting them in an annuity or something like that. That's definitely going to be the next step in
Indeed.
everything.
Thank you. Is
And
this recorded? Was this call
it is
recorded?
being recorded,
Okay, thank you.
and I will be posting it. We will be back in 2 weeks because we do this every other week. And hopefully we'll have more of our people available for those 2 weeks. And of course, Phoenix is always invited to come back and help us out. And yeah, I appreciate you all coming. Everybody go over to Melanin Less Noble that wanted to get over there. Add them as your friend on your friends list so you can follow them. And appreciate it. And I'll see you all next week.
Where can we
Thank you
follow
all.
him? I'm sorry, where can we follow him?
Melanin's Blessed Noble. It's his channel.
Okay, Melon.
The one that you
Wanna
see there.
plug your channel?
Did I? Okay, thank you.
He did in the recording. You'll hear him tell you exactly how to search for his channel.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for stepping up when everybody else was unavailable. This was
Yes,
great.
thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yes,
Peace,
thank
everyone.
Thank y'all
Thank
so very much. Thank y'all for everything today.
Yeah, thanks very much. Very good.
Appreciate it. Really appreciate it.